Okay, so when I'm doing every day, I prefer to use a tinted moisturizer because it looks a little bit more natural compared to, like, I haven't used the Il Makiage one, but I feel like it might look a little heavier, and so like all of these like freckles and sunspots that I have, you can still kind of see them peeking through. So that's why I like to use a tinted moisturizer. As far as applying it, a lot of people apply it like with their hands, but I just don't like how that feels. So these are my two favorite application. I prefer to use a wet sponge because it doesn't apply as much. So this is even less coverage when you use a damp sponge. And then when you use a brush, it'll be more full coverage. So the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Tinted Moisturizer, it has a hyaluronic acid in it. This is my favorite one to use, and I'll show you both with the brush and the beauty blender or the sponge. So the only thing that I use as terms of like primer is actually just like an SPF moisturizer. My skin is pretty dry, so I just go over and then I go down my neck and over my ears a little bit. And then with the brush, it's a little bit more full coverage because the sponge doesn't, or the brush doesn't absorb the product as much as the sponge does. Also, I'm not sure if the lighting is. And then a lot of products also oxidize. So it's a little bit more orange than like my actual skin tone, but like the rest of my body is pretty tan. So I bring it down to make sure it's all blended. And then I like to go over my eyes, especially if I'm not going to wear eyeshadow. And then sometimes even when I use the brush, I like to just press it in and mesh everything together. But if on days when I'm like running really late, I just use the brush quickly. And just blend everything in. And I feel like it makes my skin look relatively even all over, and it even starts to cover up like the dark circles under my eyes, but you can still see like my freckles and like my sunspots. So if I were to wear this every day to work, it's not like a...
Open this for me, Mommy.
Yes, baby. It's not like a big surprise to my coworkers when I don't have my full foundation on. And the ColourPop Pretty Fresh brand has a huge range of shades, but the Fenty Beauty, they have a good range, but it's kind of limited. So I think they have like maybe 10 shades, and this one oxidizes as well, so it gets darker as you apply it. So once I have like my foundation or tinted moisturizer on, I like to go in with a concealer. And so this is going to brighten up the under eyes. So this is NARS Creamy Concealer, but I also have, I'll send the links to you. It's Revlon. Are you doing it? Yeah, you can do my hair. This is the darker shade, but the Skin Awaken by Revlon is also really good. This one is obviously expensive compared to that. So this is the darker shade that I have, and then I'm gonna go in with an even lighter one just to brighten under here. And then I even put a little bit right here. So this kind of helps bring a little bit more dimension to your face. That brush has another end that you can use. I personally prefer the Beauty Blender because again it absorbs. I'm a little heavy with the concealer, so it absorbs the product a little bit better.
Can I see you?
You see this?
No.
This one?
I look at that.
You want to sit in my lap?
No. And that.
So, do you see? I feel like
That.
just the little bit of Beauty Blender that I used, the sponge, it blended out much more quickly than the brush did. And so that's why I prefer it. I feel like it also looks a little bit more natural than the brush, because you can see, even though I didn't blend it out a lot, you can see all of the product and it looks really obvious that I'm wearing a ton of concealer here. Another
Can you
thing.
open this, Mommy?
Hold on, baby.
Hmm.
Another thing that I like is to use my ring finger to blend it out, because this gives it an even more skin finish. And it warms the product up and blends it into the skin a little bit better than the brush. I feel like it also pushes into any of the creases that I might have. Lily, can you say hi? It doesn't look like much, but I feel like it makes you look a little bit more awake when you do this. And then this isn't every day, but I do like to add a little bit more dimension too, because I feel like it looks a little bit flat. So this is the Makeup by Mario cream contour.
Mommy, look at me.
Oh, hi. So I just like to do a little bit, a lot, and then like a little bit on my cheeks, above where my actual natural contour is, because if you see the shadow here, that's my natural contour, but I put it above because it brings my cheeks forward a little bit more, and if you have it down here, it's going to accentuate this, which we don't want. We want that to look more
Mommy,
slim.
look at me.
Oh, wow! Use your brush and blend it out. Good job. All right, use your your brush. Use this one and blend it out. I usually use a much bigger brush than this, but you can also use the sponge and the brush that you use to add your foundation. And so I feel like it just adds a little bit of more dimension and like a sun-kissed kind of, like you were outside. And you could also, I also like to use this as like blush, almost like sun-kissed.
No.
Oh, not on the table. And then you could also do your makeup like this, like Lily. Is this makeup by Lily?
I'll sit there.
And then I like to use the NYX Dewy finishing spray before I add my powder, but they also have like mattifying spray if you don't like any shine. I just don't like how dry I feel, and even though these are like pretty moisturizing products, I still like to add a little bit or a lot. And then I like to use the e.l.f. HD powder. It's a loose powder. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. It's okay. And then I like to use my sponge. So I add just a little bit to the top. And then I don't like to bake, but just to set, I like to add the powder under here. And then on my eyelids, because my eyelids get really oily and then everything creases. And then a little bit on my nose. And then if you really want to snatch the jawline, you add some like here. So it makes you look like really pinched there, or like you have a really snatched jawline. And so that's why you don't want your contour to be too low. And then you highlight here to make it look chiseled. And then on your forehead, if you get like greasy on your forehead or oily. The only thing with this specific powder is if you were to take like flash photography, it might look white back in the picture because like the flash bounces off. It's really bad flashback. Okay, and then I like to add just a little bit of color into my eyelids and bring it here just to, again, make my face look a little bit more dimensional and have like some contrast. You could also just use that cream contour in your areas. So I like to use a really big fluffy blending brush. This one is the Morphe M573. And then I just take any color, any like contour color for me, and then I have like pretty hooded eyes, so I lean back, and then where like my bone is, my socket, I go in there. And then because I want a little bit of a contour right here to make my eye structure and nose structure look chiseled, I like to focus it and just swish my brush back and forth here and bring it even into my eyebrows. And then a little bit down. And then it just looks. You can also take another blending brush to smooth out any patchy areas. Go over it again and really diffuse it out. And then I like to take like a flat shader brush. It's a little bit dense and like flat. This is an old brush. It's from the KKW Beauty Company. That's not in service anymore. So then I just take a little bit and go under, just to add again a little bit of dimension and make it look like I have natural contours and kind of accentuate the eye shape that I want to look like I have. I also like to bring it down a little bit to double down as a nose contour. And then to zhuzh it up a little bit, you can go in with a light shade and that same flat brush and brighten so it doesn't look too dark. And then if you had lids like mine, it would give the illusion that you have like full lids. And then it just kind of highlights and like carves out the like contour a little bit. Did this eye a little too heavy. So that is kind of all I would do for like eyeshadow for every day. And then I would just go in with my mascara. Something happened to my microphone, but I was saying I like to add a little bit of mascara to the bottom. Sometimes it smudges, but I feel like it just makes my eyes open up a little bit more for every day. And then for my brows, I have pretty sparse brows, so I like to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz. And then I like to start with the top. I think I'm going into like the measurements. So like the beginning should start, if you put the pencil at the end of your nostril, that's where the beginning should be. And then the arch should be if you put the pencil in line with the center of your eye, that's where the arch should be. And then I think I go into the end. So like if you tilt the pencil on the edge of your nostril to the end of your eye, that's where it should end. But I like to just do light strokes on the top first, where it's the most sparse, and then fill it in throughout. And I think once I get to the center of my brow, I do lightly a horizontal line here to kind of enhance that contour. And then I like to do light upward strokes to make them look like hair strokes. And then after all that is done, I like to take a spoolie and brush through so nothing looks super harsh. And then sometimes for every day, I like to use a little golden highlighter. It just adds a little bit of sheen. It's not for everybody, but I personally like to if I have time. It just adds like a little glisten, and I do that sometimes. So this is pretty much what I do for every day. I like to have a little bit of contour around my eyes to define the shape so it doesn't look so flat. And then I like to have a pretty good definition on my eyebrows since they are so sparse. And then just a little bit of contour. And I feel like this is what makes me feel like the most confident. And it doesn't take me really longer than 10 minutes anymore since I have it down so pat. But this is pretty much what I do for every day to feel cute. I hope this was helpful, and thank you so much for asking. I really appreciate it. And congratulations on the new baby. I miss you, and I'll see you soon.